What's up, people? Orsa Corsair coming at you with another Paragon deck build. Today we're going to be looking at my girl Shinbi. Would have been the age of intellect and all. I figured I'll make a couple of deck builds for the caster characters. I'll also throw some melee people in here. I'm going to do one for Steel. So there's a couple of characters that still need to be looked at. But right now we're going to look at Shinbi. So Shinbi's a caster assassin, so somewhat in the same category as Countess, but a bit different with the way you engage. Of course, Countess is monster with the burst. Shinbi's a little more finesse. So I start out with the Archmagus. I think this is the most viable because the attack speed is fine, but you don't really need that for the caster, and the health is good, but like I say, this is not the meta for that right now, so I think the power is the best way to go. Now, if this was like Grux or Chimera, you could argue going with the Centurion, but for this caster, you definitely want to go with the Archmagus. Now, as we get down to the consumables, I filled them out pretty well. I usually start out with the health potion, mana potion, Scout's Ward. Now, if you want to throw a healer token in there instead of the health potion, you can do that. The healer token is also very viable early game. If you don't know what that is this one right here, 2.8 health regen. Now, once you get to about level 7, you can swap out your health potion, mana potion for the shaman drink and the hunter's drink, because they'll start to heal you and give you more mana back than the health and the mana potion. Now, as we get down here, the first thing you'll notice that I have 2 wards in this deck. Before you even get your potions, I would recommend getting your Guardian's Ward. This is what I call a dummy ward. And if you're running mid, I would put it on either side, right or left, whichever one. You should probably go with the right side because that's probably where the jungler is going to be coming from. So I will put that down. And then I would go back because you're going to have about a minute and a half to get yourself set up. And I would go get my potions and whatnot. And my scout ward. You want to do this so that you have both sides of your flank covered, basically. That way you do not get ganked early on. You have that vision, and it's vision that also just give you map awareness. It'll help your team know where the enemy is. So it's good to have those wards up. Always go to dummy ward in most of my decks. Now, the next card you see is the Brawler's Ward. Now, this card you can build whenever you think is necessary. Sometimes you might build this card early. Sometimes you might build it late if the enemy team is not really attacking your scout ward, or for whatever reason you don't feel like you need the vision because the team just isn't getting you. They're not ganking well. So you might want to build this later, but I usually build it fairly early just so I have it, because vision wins games. Now, as we get down here to the throwaway cards, you'll see 3 Fountain Spikes. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So the Fountain Spike gives you 6 power, 30 mana. Then once you fully upgrade it, you get another 6 power, 30 mana. Now this is good because Shinbi, that's what she needs. She needs power, she needs mana, so she can keep casting her abilities. So this card is excellent for early game. Now, if you are controlling the river buffs and you know you're really good at controlling river buffs, maybe you don't want to go with the 6 power, 6 mana, or 30 mana. Maybe you want to go with a card that gives you a little more power, like the Adamant Edge, because that way you can get 6 power right off the bat, and then you can get the 12 power once you fully upgrade it, and that will come out to a little bit more power. But if you want to have the mana just for safety, just in case you do miss some river buffs, this is a good card to go with. I equipped this with 3 minor strikes, which are 6 power apiece, so it gives you a nice little bump to power early on, so you can really poke out at people, hurt them a little bit. So I have 3 of those. I usually build those 3 before I get into the deck proper. Now, as we get into the actual deck, the card that I like to build first is actually going to be the Nano Plasm. Now, the thing about this card is that it gives you 6 power, 60 mana, and the unique passive is Spell Vamp. Heal for 20% of the ability damage dealt to enemies, heroes, and 5% against enemy minions. Now, this card gets better as you get stronger, of course, but early game, it does help you with sustain. Especially because Shinbi she's a little bit squishy, especially if you're building her the way I am. Now, if you build her with some of the growth cards, you can get a little more tankiness in there. But the way I like to build her, having this Nano Plasm, having that little bit of spell vamp, does help you out pretty well. Especially since you already have the 3 Fountain Spikes, so you will actually be dealing pretty decent damage. So I like to build this first, just for the extra sustain. So this is usually my 4th card, and then I'll have the 2 potions there, and yeah, and that seems to be working out pretty well. Now, keep in mind though, as you get more spell damage, the spell vamp will be more useful. So just keep that in mind. Now, the next card I like to build at this point, I'll discard a Fountain Spike and I'll go with the Hydroverser. This will usually be somewhere around mid game, and you know, once you get a decent mana pool, Hydroverser is very, very handy. This card gives you 0.3 mana regen, 60 health, and here's the part that I like: you gain power equal to 7% of your current mana. So once you get a decent mana pool, Hydroverser will have you hitting very hard. So I like to go with the Hydroverser for that reason. I don't upgrade it though, and I don't think it's necessary to upgrade it. The health is really not a big deal, and a little bit of regen isn't really a big deal. Now, the next card that I will go with would be the Tainted Magic. This card is 12 power, 0.3 mana regen, and a unique passive is Spell Burn. Dealing ability damage to enemy heroes applies a damage over time effect that deals ability damage equal to 8% of the target's current health over 4 seconds. This effect cannot stack. Consecutive ability damage instances refresh duration. Now, I like this card because most of the damage that you're going to be doing is going to be from your line tempo. It's going to be that wolf that you throw. And you can throw one of those basically every, every 2 seconds. So, on top of them taking the damage from the wolf, you will also hit them with a damage over time effect that will do well, you'll get 2 takes basically. It'll do a little bit of damage, but more importantly, if you miss a wolf, they will still take damage over that 4 seconds. They'll actually take the full amount of the damage, because you can cast line tempo every 2 seconds. So if you miss one wolf, you'll still be doing damage to the person. I like that. I think that is a good card for Shinbi actually. So I equipped this with 2 casts, which are 12 power, and then 1 minor cast. So at this point, she'll have a pretty dang good mana pool. She'll have a pretty good amount of power. So she'll be able to assassinate people pretty well. Her line tempo will be hitting pretty well. She'll be doing some actual good damage. Now, as we get here to the second to last card, it's going to be the Meta Gem. So this card is 6 power, 30 mana, and then 0.6 mana regen. And I equip this with 2 advanced manas, which gives you 180 mana, and then a major cast, which is another 18 power. So this card right here, I like it because it gives you a nice little mana pool, because close to the end game, you do want to have a little bit more mana, because Shinbi, she can go through a bit of mana. And then a major cast, you want to have that power rolling so that you can execute people. Now the last card that I built is going to be all penetration. So this card, it has 2 ability pin, 0.3 mana regen, and then 12 power, so we like that. And then I equipped it with Focus Shock, which will give me 18 power right there, giving you 20 ability pin total. And I think that's all the ability pin I have for this deck, and that's enough. 20 ability pin is pretty good. Now, if you're going up against a steel or something, of course, it's not going to be piercing his armor. But for most characters, they have about 30-ish ability armor. So if you have 20, you're going to be cutting through a nice chunk of that. So you don't really need to go 60. Now, if it was Countess, I would say go with the full 30 ability pin. I usually go 30 with Countess. But on Shinbi, I'd say 20 is about enough for her. So that's what I'm running for Shinbi right now, people. Let me know what you think about the deck build. If you like it, if you don't like it, let me know who you're running mid and off lane, because that's where I usually run Shinbi. I started running her mid lane a lot more now, but I used to play her in the left lane, and she does pretty good left as well. So let me know who's your favorite off laner. Let me know who's your favorite mid laner right now, and also let me know what you think of the build. If you liked the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and share the video out. It helps me out a lot, and maybe it'll help somebody else. As always, people, this is Ors, of course. Thank you for viewing this deck build. We will see you in the next video or live stream. Have a good one. Peace.